Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video, and in today's video we'll be seeing what might happen if China were to form an empire. This is one of the last uploads of daily upload week, so make sure to have some fun. So here we go, here's China forming their empire, and let me talk about a few things first. So number one, we are for all empire videos actually, we dismantle NATO, we dismantle the UN, we dismantle all sorts of alliances, and that's about it. That's all I wanted to say. But anyway, who will China be attacking first? They're a very strong country, and now they're forming an empire. But I think it's kind of obvious who they will be attacking first. That will be none other than Taiwan. So yeah, China, and also like I said before, U.S. most likely I think would back Taiwan. But like I said before, we are dropping all sorts of these relations just so that way we could let trying to have their own video where they get to shine and they don't get, attacked by UN or NATO or whatever. But anyway, China is going to very quickly and very easily invade into Taiwan. I'm not going to go into much detail about this. Oh gosh. I'm not going to go into much detail about this because it's pretty simple. They just, invade into Taiwan. And for the peace treaty, it's also pretty simple. Taiwan is just fully annexed. And now the Taiwanese are Chinese. Now the next stuff will happen down here in the South Chinese Sea waters, and that will be China kind of just taking control over these waters, pushing other countries out of, the water here. That's a very weird shape, but this is in international waters. I don't know how much international water is like in this. I think it's just not too much actually. That might be it. I gotta stop drawing these shapes, man. But China is going to kind of just take over that little area there. But next up, our next defender, I guess, is going to be Vietnam. Okay, so in this little attack here, it's going to go pretty well for China, if you ask me. China's going to start moving in up here in the north, and then after that, it's kind of doomed. They're kind of doomed. I'm not actually sure where the capital is. Is it right here? Nope, my bad. The capital is, like, right here, so it's almost fully encircled already, and that's obviously not good. So they're going to start threatening the capital here. But in the meantime, they're going to cut it off from the rest of the country, and now the capital is encircled, and that is not good. When it comes to the rest of the country, they're going to be chased down south, and they're going to be attacked. And, well, eventually the top in the capital here is going to fall, and that will lead to the fall of the rest of the country. And let's check out this peace treaty. So inside of this peace treaty, Vietnam will not be fully annexed. So in this peace treaty, they will turn into this, and they basically just lose the top half of their country. Now they're just this down here. And now when it comes to the rest of the country, they're actually going to not stay sovereign, and they're going to just unite with this, whatever it's called, Cambodia, forming whatever the heck you might call this, I'm not sure. So now there's just like this Cambodian Union, I guess. But next up on their list is none other than Laos, and it's not looking too good for these Southeastern Asian countries. Obviously, China won't be doing these wars back to back to back. There's probably a little bit of time in between these, but I'm not gonna go through all that because there's no point in just being like, and now there's like a year past. Like, I'm not gonna do that. That's up to you guys. So yeah. But it's been a little while, I guess, and they are going to invade into Laos. And it's funny because their capital is like right over here, so they have a bit of a ways to go. But first, they're going to divide the country in two because that's probably the easiest thing you can do right now. And then they're going to start up on their main front up here in the north, which will go kind of like so. I'm just turning into Cat in the Hat. Wow. Okay, but then this southern front will kind of fall, I guess. I don't want to say fall, but like it's cut off from the main part of the country, which is the capital. And this is just a this is a panhandle, and the rest of the country kind of just gets squeezed. Now, I'm not saying that Laos is weak, but what I'm saying is China's strong. They are number number two militarily. I'm not sure, but their capital is captured, and just like that, Laos is no longer existent, or well, they're occupied, but we'll see what happens in this peace treaty. And inside of this peace treaty, they will be fully annexed. That's not too fun for Laos, but that will add to whatever empire you're going to call this, the Chinese Empire, the Qin Dynasty. But as you can see, China is growing ever so bigger, or ever so larger? I don't know. And the Southeastern Asia is becoming very unrecognizable. And China is now that they have more control over the southern Chinese Sea. They're now looking for a bit more access to, the Indian Ocean. And who do you have to go through to get to the Indian Ocean? Myanmar. So Myanmar is the next target on their list. Sadly for the Myanmarians, what are they called? If anyone's from Myanmar, just tell me what you guys are called. But now, the front will begin, and I know there's mountains up here in the north because it's like the end of the Himalayas up here. So it's gonna be hard to invade in there. And I believe their capital is right here. So that's where they're going to start their front here. And inside of this front, it's going to not go so well for these guys. This northern part is cut off, but that doesn't really do much because, like I said before, this is mainly just mountains. However, they mainly did this so they could go down the western side of the country, which when this happens, they do end up pushing back just a little bit. But the only reason they're able to push back is because these guys are pulling up and piling up to go form a spearhead. Over here, Myanmar pushes back once again, but their capital is captured. It's a little bit further south, actually. Their capital is captured here, and that's when it doesn't go so well because their country is split into three, actually. This top part is definitely taken over at this point, but then they continue encircling in on this. What the heck? They continue circling in on this part of the country here, and it comes to a point where the south part of that is gone, and then they start their invasion into the rest of the country, which at this point would have surrendered. So let's take a look at this peace treaty. Luckily for the Myanmarians, whatever, they will not be getting fully annexed, and they won't even lose their capital, assuming I actually draw this line right. So inside of this peace treaty, this is all going over to China. And after this war, China's final borders will be looking like this. And the Southeastern Asia at this point, I'd say, is definitely unrecognizable. And it's at this point that some defensive alliances will be formed. Two will be formed, in fact. So the first defensive alliance is between India, Japan, and the Philippines. So that's our first alliance here. And our second alliance will be between these three countries right here, which is Thailand, Cambodian Union, I guess, and Myanmar. So this one is kind of like the defensive. This actually kind of looks like it's part of India's alliance or something like that. So I'm going to change it. Here we go. I think that looks better. But these are the two alliances now. One between India, Japan, and the Philippines, and another between the Southeastern Asians. So China is kind of blocked out from the south now. And with China not being able to invade into them, they're going to make a few separate decisions, and they're going to go on a few wars. First of all, they're going to invade into whatever country this is. I can't even remember. Mongolia. My bad, guys. It's like late. But I'm going to kind of rush this war a little bit. So this doesn't last too long. They get invaded pretty quickly. This is the first, big country they've invaded. I mean, Vietnam is a big country, but like, in size, I mean, big. And after a few months, they get fully invaded. And in this peace treaty, it will be even more simple. They're just fully annexed. China's northern border is looking a little bit historical today. Anyway, next up, they will be simultaneously invading Nepal and Bhutan. And I have a good feeling we will both know how this war will go and what may come next. So, Nepal, or I mean, I guess Bhutan would be taken over first. So, there goes Bhutan. And then there goes Nepal. These guys are Himalayan, so it is a bit hard to invade into them, I guess. But we're just gonna ignore that. Also, by the way, guys, this may seem like a biased video, but I promise you, I'm not Chinese, so this wouldn't be biased. So inside of this peace treaty, they are both annexed, and what happens next is not them declaring war, but they are getting invaded by none other than India, Japan, and the Philippines. Yeah. And in the first days of the war, the invasions will be coming over from here. So here come the first invasions from the east, and they immediately get cut off from the Indian Ocean, and this entire part over here gets captured. And India keeps on pushing in from the north here. They reach over to here to cut off another area, and well, it's not looking too good for the Chinese already. On a better note for the Chinese, though, up here in the north, they do push in to India, and that happens up there in the north. So they're getting even further away from whatever this land is called. I can't remember. I'm not really too educated on the Pakistan-India relations. Anyway, Japan is going to be the real threat in this war. So they're going to land right here, and immediately China is going to have to lock in and, kick them out. I gotta turn my tolerance down. Oh my. So they get kicked out of China. So inside of the war so far, they are not doing so good. So with that naval thing that they racked up at the beginning of the video inside of the South China Sea, they're going to easily be able to go into the Philippines and start invading there. And they also make another landing really close to the capital, actually, because the capital's like right here about. So they also cut off this little area right here, and then they start invading a little bit more. As you can see, this eastern what I just turned British. As you can see, this eastern side is a lot less set up than this western side. That means that this one has a lot less troops, and that's where the Philippines pushes back. So that eastern little front there that gets wiped out, and now it's just China invading the West. China also takes over this island. I'm not educated in the Filipino islands. But then they kind of island hop over to here, and this southern Filipino island gets captured, and they continue their island hopping up north. And it looks like Taiwan, or oh my gosh, it looks like the Philippines might be kicked out of this war pretty fast. This island hopping campaign allowed them to be able to invade towards the capital from the south, which is very much so worth it, as the capital has been captured and the Philippines surrender. Now, the thing is, India did not authorize them to surrender, but they still surrendered anyway, so I don't know what that might do. Anyway, now with that out of the way, they're going to try and focus up in on the Japanese. They're trying to focus in on India's allies before, dealing with India themselves. So they're gotta, climb up here to make their way to Tokyo. They capture both these islands down south here. And back over here in the west area, India keeps on pushing in, and it's not looking too good for them. India makes it all the way over to where Laos used to be, and they also kick them all the way out of their country. And then from there, they continue invading into China. I just can't think of any names right now. I'm just like losing the names of countries in my mind. They try and make an offensive over here inside of Nepal, but that kind of fails because it's too hard to go through the Himalayas. It's just, not worth it when they have two nice and steady fronts, which are going out to all of these other places. So that's why they're not going to waste their, effort and manpower inside of the Himalayas. Japan's going to push back just a little bit, but China's going to land on the island again and, cut off that army from what they were doing, and that army falls apart. And now comes the last little bit as they approach towards Tokyo, and they capture Tokyo, wherever the heck it is. They don't surrender just yet because they're not allowed to. They cut across the country and capture all this stuff right here. And even though their capital has been taken, the Japanese still fight back, and they make an attempt to capture back their capital, which goes successful, and it wipes out a bunch of Chinese troops that were on this little small peninsula right here. But the Chinese use this to their advantage and try and make a big spearhead that shoots across here, cutting off all of these troops, while they also make a naval encirclement over here in the east, meaning these troops are truly encircled. And just like that, all of these troops get a bunch of, all the naval people here, all the navy, they land and they bombard the shore here as they go in and get rid of all of these troops. So they keep on chasing up Japan, and it's not looking too good for Japan and hence the whole alliance. And now it's just the northern island here, and after that they kind of just fall apart. Not fall apart, but they get fully captured and stuff like that. And now this is when India starts to panic because China takes all of their troops from over in Japan and the Philippines and aims them directly at India. And they directly attack into India, and that's when India tries to call out. They call to this green alliance right here, and they say, "Hey, can you come help us jump China?" And they say, "Yeah, no, we're trying to be defensive from China. We don't want to invade into China and then potentially get attacked. I'll give you a lot of economic growth and protection." Okay, sure. So these guys all join because they're getting a lot of economic growth and protection, like granted and helped from India, like because obviously they can't just grant economic growth; they have to help with that. But India is going to help with that, and these guys push in. They start invading specifically into what they've lost. So they go into Vietnam and Laos here, and within the first few days of this, all of this here gets captured. That's pretty much what it was. And it's at this point where China's like, okay, that's not good. We need an ally in this. Who is going to come to our aid? None other than Russia. And with Russia comes North Korea. And it's not looking too good for India and these Southeastern Asian countries now that Russia, North Korea, and China are all on a team together and they're fighting that. And well, at this point, India invades into this country right here, into Bangladesh, my bad. They invade and take over Bangladesh just so that way they can have, like an actual attack like a good normal attack into China. without having to go like through this and stuff like that. Now this is when India really just locks in and they start invading. And for a little while they are on top of the world as they're able to take over a lot of stuff. And they finally decide to push in through Nepal. And now India has a full front and they have captured Tibet. And they keep on. I don't know if you guys can hear that dog barking down there. I'm sorry if you can. But the Southeastern Asians are going to capture this island here and then continue invading into China, and they reach Hong Kong, which is not good. They also reach over to Taiwan, and then they begin the liberation of the Philippines, starting over here with the capital, and then they continue liberating them. And just like that, the Philippines are now back in the war. Multiple Filipino and Indian armies are going to rush into Japan to start freeing them, which starts to go well. And once they capture back the capital over here, it goes very well as now they are doing this. And Japan becomes fully liberated, meaning that now China and their allies are only on the defense. They haven't captured anything. But now is the time when Russia and North Korea's troops are finally ready to start helping, because they were building up their manpower just a little bit ago, and now they're ready. So that first they're going to land inside of whatever country this is, Japan, and they're going to invade into it and capture the capital pretty quickly. So Japan went from being occupied to not occupied to occupied very quickly. India is also going to gather a new ally of South Korea. They know that South Korea is probably screwed, which is why South Korea doesn't end up joining the alliance. So that sucks for India. And now the troops over here are beginning to push back against India. So, like that, India is not looking so good. However, they also do a very good job at pushing back against these guys right here. So, these Southeastern Asians are not looking so good right now. In fact, they capture back all of Taiwan. And they also begin the second invasion of the Philippines. This time they're able to hold back a little bit better and they are able to protect the capital. However, it doesn't look like they're going to be protected for long because these southern islands are being captured and quickly. China continues pushing back against these guys right here, and now China begins the full invasion of them. And when I say China, I also mean North Korea and Russia too. I'm just saying China because this is China's video. But very quickly, this Cambodian Union here is going to fall apart. Not fall apart, but they're going to get captured fairly quickly. Then they make a good landing over here, which then they use that to just push up. And after that, it's not looking too good for Myanmar and Thailand. In fact, Thailand is, screwed, and now it's just Myanmar who is going to make the very right choice of surrendering. So now it looks like it's just India versus you